a business, you know who these people got there. No, you don't have actually. There's no clear path, and that's what people like. They have a clear path. They know where to go and how to go, right? And of course, there are many other elements like a leaderboard, like all these, let's say, core elements like points, badges. But it's even more. So I mean, these are often the, let's say, typical game elements, but there's much more than that. So, for example, collaboration, so that people actually like to work with other people. So the majority of the people actually doing games, because it's about a community. So think of all these Facebook games, whatever. And of course, this is an advantage we can take into our business. Okay, maybe we go to the next slide, because I also want to tell what gamification is not. So what we are not doing, we're not creating games. So we don't want that we have the next third-person shooter in our ERP. Right?
I can manage the
sense. It's using the elements and using them wisely. So it does not mean that the next ERP will have a leaderboard, badges, points, and all these gimmicks what you know within the game. And it does not mean that you have a 3D environment. No, that it's not. You have to select on your case, on your business, what you're doing, and select wisely the elements you want to use. Right? So this is important to know, because many people think of gamification. Yeah, I have a next 3D element and this next 3D visualization of my enterprise application. That's what it's definitely not. Actually, the best game gamification examples are the ones you don't see at all. Right? So it's not that you must have, let's say, a leaderboard and that you see your points and status. That's not what it is about. It's about using the element underneath to, let's say, increase the intrinsic motivation of the users in behind. So now there's one challenge. So we have our enterprise applications. We are building new applications in the cloud. But how do we get now these game elements into that? It's an expensive task, because we have to implement. There are many rules after in behind. So, for example, if you want to give somebody a point or a badge, you have to know when to use that point. So there are some events coming in. You have to correlate something from the business to these, let's say, motivational elements. So how do you do this? I mean, you can implement it once, but then after a certain point of time, you realize it was not how I expected. So user behaved different. And of course, this varies from domain to domain, to different industry, to different technical solutions, to the user group you're targeted, to the time where you execute, so that over Christmas or Easter holidays, you never know, so that's always different. So there's one important aspect I want to share. So gamification is not something you apply once and you're done. It's a process. It's an involving process within your application. It might be a little different for learning, because this is something which is often restricted to a certain point of time. But for other applications, let's think of communities, it's really a process you have to identify. And the challenge now comes, so how do I implement a gamification concept into my enterprise application? And that's what we're here for today. And for that we developed actually the Gamification Service. So it's really a technical service on the SAP HANA Cloud platform. So it's available since October last year. And this service can actually easily be enabled by you all. You can try it out. So you know that there's the SAP HANA Cloud Platform trial account. So when you go home, you can go into your laptop, log into accounts.hanatrial.com, and then basically you can get an account for free and enable the gamification service. So now Moya will do this in parallel. So you see here, she opened her HANA Cloud Platform trial account, where you will find all the capabilities of the HANA Cloud Platform. And within the services sections, which is actually over here, there's one service which is called the Gamification Service. And this is actually the entry point for you, because that's where you can maintain all your game mechanics. So let's assume you have an application which you want to, let's say, transfer into a gamified application. You simply don't need to, let's say, write all yourself. You rely on the service and can maintain your game mechanics. This might be simple elements like points or badges. This might be even missions. But of course you have the freedom, because we put a rule engine underneath, to maintain all kind of game mechanics which are out there. So there's, let's say, about people in, let's say, the scientifics, they talk about like 42 game elements which are out there, and actually I would say that we can cover them in there. And within this service we have a user interface where you can easily maintain all these game mechanics, but it's all API based. So what means whatever you see there is also available via APIs. Because I said it's often very domain specific what you need. So sometimes you need only simple elements. Maybe you want to create them automatically. So we even have customers who create their own user interface to maintain these game mechanics. So it's not that you have to use this user interface which we are providing. You can even write your own one based on the APIs which we are providing. So it's loading there. So the first thing when you go in there, the gamification service is not enabled. Moya did so already. It's just pressing a simple button, and then you will get your own tenant basically. This service, as I said, comes with a user interface and it comes with a backend. Underneath is a rule engine, which gives you the full flexibility. And you might know, let's say, some gamification examples where you cover, let's say, points and badges, which sometimes annoys you because it's too simplistic. So it says tells you like, I'm collecting points and collecting points, and as I see these people who have 1 million points over there, they say, okay, I get so many things and I have 5. So this does not turn out for me. The second one, you have mechanics which, let's say, you see, it should be adjusted, whatever. So what we said, from the beginning on, we wanted to create a service which gives us the ability to modify everything during runtime. Also, it comes in the aspect that we have, for example, complex rules, which says, let's bring into account time aspects. Let's bring into account, let's say, parameters, so that people or, let's say, events correlate between each other. To give you simple examples, we had a use case where they said, okay, people should only earn points if they did a certain thing after another thing, which they did with a second person together and within 1 week. It sounds quite simple, okay, we easily cover that, but it means on the technical requirements, you would need to implement something which, let's say, evaluates all these rules, so that there are correlations between users, between different events, and even the time correlation between this, let's say, 1 week. This is what the gamification service covers already out of the box. So you simply can write your rules. I know it's quite technical. So, for example, what you see here a rule which basically says you send an event from your application. So the application is always the indicator, right? So it's a user. So, for example, I press a button, I view a block, and in our example, we have an application where users have to create tickets, and what we can do here is basically we take this event, and basically this is a trigger for us. So what this means for you as a developer, you can define what kind of events are of interest for you. And these are the triggers for your, let's say, rules. Secondly, you have full freedom of, let's say, the consequences. It's a rule-based language, a domain-specific language. And what it means here, on API base again, you can, for example, assign any, let's say, consequences to the user. This may be that the users, in this case, increases the counters. This may be that the users, let's say, get some points or badges or even some other events. You can even do cascading events. That's all possible. We are also currently investigating to have this more in a graphical way, but of course this has a limit, right? So whatever you put in a, let's say, user interface with drag and drop together, I mean, this is nice from the user experience, but it limits you on the things you can do. So this is why we decided to keep this rather technical, so you can develop your own. And let me tell you, it's amazing what people did here already for complex rules. And the feedback was always, within the past, we have been always limited in what we could cover. With this service, actually, we are able to cover, let's say, the full freedom of a gamification designer. So really complex rules, any gaming mechanism you can jump into. Now let's go maybe into the sample application. So with the service, we thought, okay, it's a barrier to do the integration. Right? So when you want to call the APIs of the
we just have a really slow connection, but otherwise things are really fast. When you go home and try this at home, it's going to be faster. It's all included here from the workbench. If you go to the help button and you launch the help desk, that's the sample app that I'm opening up in the other tab right now. And then all the source code is there too if you want to download and use it. And we'll show you a link at the very end to the tutorials that you can go to step through. And then also the API documentation that he was just referring to. That's all there as well. So this is the application that is included. It's all UI frame application that Michael created. It's installed when you activate the service and in your tenant, in your HANA Cloud Platform trial tenant. And it's also available on GitHub, and you can download it, and you can reuse it, you can edit these widgets, and you can get started right away with your proof of concepts inside your company. So it's really fun. It's super fun to use. So this is a real-world application that they created on a help desk. So you can imagine that you're sitting there all day long answering tickets, and it's hard to stay motivated. So what we find is that gamification is a great use case there. So if you want to answer one of these tickets, as soon as you send an answer, the gamification service is triggered, and you get a response that you actually have a point down here for processing a ticket. The red bordered here is what Michael created to demonstrate critical tickets. And that's to have extra motivation because the help desk processor has to respond more quickly. So if I process a critical ticket, I get an additional couple of points as defined in that rule we were just looking at. And I'm not a coder. You said that we want to make that even easier, but we can try to actually modify one of those on the fly to show how easy that is. Even though the connection is super slow, so it might be dangerous. But Lisa, send. And we're done. If we send that answer, you not only get the experience points regularly, but you also get additional critical getting that accrue toward levels, that finally accrue toward missions, and even badges. And that's shown inside of the help desk as well. So I have a couple badges already, super fun badges, and this shows me the stream of tickets. If I didn't think that was enough for handling a critical ticket quickly, I could go back into the workbench. This is a little risky. Should I try this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we talked about consequences. This is the critical ticket. This is the experience points for a regular ticket. And I got only 2 points for a critical ticket. That's not a lot. I think that I should really instead get... I should get 100 points for processing a critical ticket, don't you guys?
Yeah.
Edit? To modify the one underneath. That's a
we did an edit button now. We make a lot of changes. I think I should get 100 points for that.
No, you have to change the experience points.
I think Michael should have that.
So what Moya is just doing, so the application is running, it's deployed, and this is the underlying rule basically for assigning points for critical ticket. And what Moya just said is, okay, people are doing critical tickets more, let's say, because they're more critical, of course, they have to do a higher engagement for that. And this, of course, is a pretty simple use case, but it makes you, let's say, thinking during the process, you have to change your requirements. And this is during running of the application. So what she just did, she changed the rule so that you don't get too critical, let's say 2 experience points for critical tickets. She increased it by, let's say, 100 to 200 actually.
Do I need to activate that now, or is it just saved?
Let's activate it.
Okay, I saved it. So where's the activate button? Did we change that, or it's all done now?
We changed it actually.
Okay, so it's saved. I press save and it's done?
Rule engine.
Go over, yes.
Okay, back to the help desk. I'm going to refresh it just in case, which took us a second a little while ago because there was some SSO thing. And actually, I don't think I needed to refresh that. It's just on the fly.
In the rule engine.
So what we just did, we updated that rule. I pressed save to save it. This is in the game mechanics rules section. So back to the help desk. If we did it right, if Michael did it right, Lisa should be able to send me. When I process this ticket, I should finally be compensated properly. Let's see if it works. Boom.
If you go back to the gamification service, you need to go to gamification, the workbench. Go back to your workbench, go to rule engine in blue.
Oh, the rule engine.
You have to press on rule engine.
Oh,
You know, apply changes.
That's new.
Yes, we changed this. Of course, because it's a cloud service, so you see these changes here. So we are doing regular updates. So every 2 weeks, let's say we have, let's say for all accounts, of course, we're doing updates in order, let's say, to provide the latest version to accounts.
We don't need to refresh this, right?
We
need to refresh that.
There was a question in the audience, so while I
But you'll need
answer a regular ticket.
Oh yeah, because you'll need another. Oh, because it'll reload after you.
For example, we have, if we just use the same use case where we have a ticket creation from CRM all the way to SAP ECC, and if you want to give the number based on the duration of the ticket, not just based on the responses of the ticket, how long did it take for him to close the ticket? So is there a way to actually interact with different systems, CRM, ECC, and other systems?
Thanks for the question. So basically what we can do, I mean, it's API based, right? So the gamification service is basically waiting for that you send events. And of course, you have to hook into the host application, I call it. So in case you have 2 systems where you want to collect certain events from, you can send from two or multiple different systems to the gamification service. And then of course you can apply certain rules. So for example, if I did a certain thing in one system, and after a certain time I did something in the second system, you can apply rules that then the consequence will be triggered. So in other words, with the services, it gives you the flexibility to have, let's say, a unified user profile across different applications. So of course what we are not intending to have, let's say, gamification silos, so that you have one, let's say, business application. Let's say you get your points, so like look in your wallet, like you have a, let's say, payment card for each supermarket and each gas station, right? So this is not what we're intending to do. You want to have a unified user profile, which means you can hook up as many applications as you want to and hooks them into the same gamification system, and then you have basically a unified profile about all consequences from all different systems. And of course, yes, you can combine them, but of course you don't need to. So of course you have the concept of multiple tenants within this application here, which means you also have the ability to have separate gamification concepts for each application. So both is possible, and hopefully this answers the question.
Well, while he answers that, I'm going to press this button and see if we're feeling lucky here.
How do we get this service? Is it part of the only HANA Cloud platform, or?
It's your 100 points.
We edited that rule. Thanks to Michael's.
So how do we get this? Is it part of, like, we have on-premise HANA solution, so how do we get this?
So this service is a currently cloud service, so it's fully reliant on SAP HANA Cloud Platform. But you can also basically, since it's API based, we also have already several use cases where people really connect from an on-premise system and connect to the service as well. So that's also possible. But
as I said, it's cloud service only.
So we have a little developer experience we can talk to, and then maybe we'll talk one or two real world use cases so people can visualize it.
Well, just quickly summarize what this basically means of you. So you have this gamification service, and what it means basically, you can manage your own game mechanics. It comes with an user interface with all the APIs to manage your game concepts, to trigger events, etc. Of course, what you still need to do is an integration. So we are working on several, let's say, standard plugins for some applications, but you need to do an integration. But of course, you save all the effort for, let's say, how would I, let's say, implement gamification concept and so forth. And of course, if it's cloud managed, it comes with all the scalability and reliability. What we have not shown, it also comes with some built-in analytics. So you can even see how your gamification service, gamification concept is performing. Of course, it comes with some anonymization in order not to harm the users. And yeah, this is actually
something I would look at on the fly, like we were just talking about. Like nobody's answering the critical tickets. Maybe I need to give them more points or something, right?
So, for example, so and of course, what you can also see, sometimes what we did the modification of a gamification concept for for a certain time range. So let's assume, for example, your Easter holidays or whatever, you want to have the double, let's say, double incentives. So that's what you could do, and then in the analytics part, you could easily see, did it work out, so that more people actually engage or do certain things. So maybe writing blogs, maybe answering tickets, anything you can basically imagine. With this, actually, I would like that we come to some use case and examples quickly, because, as I said, it's already generally available for quite a long time, and also give you some insight how we use the gamification service with some examples. And hand over to Colin.
Hey guys, Colin Kraczkowsky on the HCP product management team. So just really quickly, these are some examples of productive use cases of gamification that are actually productive right now. For example, we have this G-Learning platform. This is more than just an application, it's an entire platform based on the gamification services. It's speaking to the integration point that Michael was talking to. This integrates with SAP Workforce Performance Builder. And basically what this means is that it's a platform for you to apply your learning content to, and then gamify that content and encourage people via points, badges, missions to achieve, to work farther in their learning. Second, I'm assuming if you know SAP, you are very familiar with the SAP Community Network, and in its past life, it was gamified with points and badges you're probably all familiar with. In its next life, which it's now in beta or out of beta.
We just announced yesterday, SAP just announced yesterday that the next generation of the SAP Community Network with this services badges is launching on October 10th.
Exactly. So even on the new...
You're the 2,000th people to know.
So even in the new SAP Community Network, there are still going to be some engagements and points earned for doing things like posting and blogging and based on the gamification services. So gamified collaboration platform. And then a third use case that we've seen is this game on concept for early talents. This is more of a single gamified application, similar to the performance, to the G-Learning, where it's gamifying for completing assignments, and what they've used it for is they've actually targeted early talents within the organization and have encouraged them through gamification to learn more about the company and to learn more about what the different company values and things like that are. Not featured on this is a recent gamified demonstration that we've built it's called Fit SAP, and that is a integration with the Fitbit and gamifying your fitness tracking along with that as well, all of the gamification services. And so those are a few examples that are actual use cases that you can point to right now. And on this slide, you can see where you can find out more information to get your hands wet with some tutorials. And then you can also, let's see, did we say we put the GitHub link on here too?
Yeah, that's the GitHub link.
Oh, okay,
I updated that link.
Oh, okay, so this is the link you can find the GitHub, so the actual code for these services, and then on here, on hcp.icp.com, you can get some high-level overview of gamification and what it can help you do. anything more from Michael?
We have about 2 more minutes, so maybe a question from the audience, but it's just been a pleasure to have this service and to have you here today, so thank you, Michael.
First of all, thanks a lot, and hopefully you can see like how the gamification was used, how you can build up, let's say, your next gamification project with this service.
This is more tender
Of
than
course,
sessions.
if you have any questions or anything afterwards, approach us here there. We're looking forward to further contacts.
Thank you.